everybody, Pete Harris here. Today I want to talk about MTV and its prominence in the 80s. If you were around back then, you remember how certain iconic videos really dominated MTV back in the day. If something was really popular, it would just be in constant rotation over and over again. If you're like me, you also assume that most of those big videos were also massive hits on the radio and the Billboard charts. Of course, most of them were. Things like Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, Madonna's Material Girl, Like a Virgin. All those things were huge hits on the radio as well. But not all of them were. Some of the videos I remember as being the most iconic that were in constant rotation, at least for a time period on MTV, were actually not quite as big as hits as I would have assumed. So let's take a look now at some of the major videos from the 80s that may not have been as high up on the charts as you might think. Before we get into this part of the list, I want to give a shout out to fellow YouTube content creator Johnny Bean. Johnny Bean has got a great channel on YouTube. Buddy of mine, you can follow him on Twitter as well. Tons of great videos, tons of music content, interviews, live streams. Every Saturday night he has his Saturday Night Live, which streams at 9 o'clock Pacific time every Saturday night. So look for that. If you don't already subscribe to Johnny Bean, go ahead over to his channel. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. You won't be disappointed. Tons of great stuff on his channel. So anyway, back to the countdown. First up on our video, the very first video that premiered on MTV, of course, was The Buggles. Video Killed the Radio Star. When MTV premiered just after midnight on August 1st, 1981, this is the very first video they showed. Now this one might be a bit of a difference because this song actually peaked at number 40 on the Billboard charts. Now, I would argue that this is probably a reverse case of the rest of my list because this song probably would have never gotten as high as number 40 if it hadn't been for MTV. I think they really gave them the push over the edge in this case. Next up is Modern English with their 1980 song, I Melt With You. This song was everywhere on MTV, all over the place. It was re-released in 1990 where it was all over the MTV again, and I was thoroughly sick of it by that point. But anyway, it might surprise you to know that as ubiquitous as it was in MTV in the early days, this song, I Melt With You, never cracked the top 100 on the radio charts. Up next, everybody who watched MTV in the 80s remembers this one, Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top. The little band from Texas, basically a boogie rock blues band, really got propelled into the limelight with their series of videos with the Eliminator car, the girls, the band with their beards. This really splashy videos really propelled them to the top. Sharp Dressed Man, as ubiquitous as it was on MTV, actually only got to number 57 in the charts. So it was not nearly as big a hit on the radio as it was on MTV, where it dominated. You may ask yourself, what about Talking Heads? Talking Heads Once in a Lifetime is one of the pioneering videos and one of the groundbreaking videos for the early days of MTV. With David Byrne's strange movements and strange dancing, it was a real minimalist but yet very trend-setting video. The song, however, only peaked at number 103 on the Billboard charts after it came out in 1981. So while it's one of the definitely memorable songs and one of their biggest staples, it was not a chart buster. In 1982, Iron Maiden debuted new lead singer, the air raid siren Bruce Dickinson. Their first song on MTV was Run to the Hills, which is clearly one of their most iconic videos and still one of their concert staples to this day, where they still pack stadiums. One of their best singles of all time. So, it would surprise me to learn that Run to the Hills, while it did debut pretty highly in the UK charts, never even charted in the United States, despite the prominence of the video. Motley Crue was a metal band that was everywhere in the mid-80s. In 1985, they released Theater Pain, and their video for Home Sweet Home was huge, everywhere. A concert video showing them perform, always in rotation on MTV. However, the song only made it to number 37, so it did crack the top 40, but it was not a top 10, even top 20 hit. Metallica had a change towards the mainstream in 1988 in their And Justice for All album when they finally released a music video, which they had not done for the first three albums. One, released in 1988, had an accompanying video with film footage and performance footage. It only made it to number 35 on the Billboard charts, but it was all over MTV at the time. Breaking into the 90s a little bit, Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was released in 1991. The video for Right Now was everywhere. Popular video all over MTV. It even won the MTV Video of the Year in 1992. Despite this, the song itself only reached number 55 on the Billboard charts, which really surprised me. I assumed it was a top 10 hit, but nope, not even close. So, this is a list of some of the iconic videos that were huge on MTV but weren't necessarily huge on radio. So, I'm sure you have a list of your own. What are some of the iconic videos that you remember from the day? Give them a look and see how popular they really were on radio, or was it just your perception of how popular they were due to their rotation on TV?